And good morning, good evening, wherever you may be around the nation, around the world. You are listening to Supernatural Realm Radio on www.vastfrequency.com. And we are the Vera Radio Network. Well, tonight we got a very special guest. He's a returning guest, my good friend, Daniel Alexa. Daniel, it's great to have you on the show. Tell the listeners a little bit about you.
Tim, it is great to be back here. Well, my tagline is I coach dead people. So it's while I do work with spirits and other things, the main part is helping people who have reached burnout and are feeling like they're living dead lives to come back to life. But a lot of the other fun stuff that I do in my hypnotherapy practice is sometimes working with those spirits.
Mm. Have you been on any trips since we last spoke?
Yes, it's been a bit since we chatted. I was in Peru twice last year, going down to Machu Picchu and heading up a couple different retreats to help people reconnect to their purpose and understand their reason for being here on the planet in this life. Fantastic stuff.
It is. Do you work with people? I guess you work with people and reconnect them with their past lives.
Yeah, that's a big part of the work down there. Excuse me, I just had a cat walk onto my computer.
Mhm.
When I go to Peru, a lot of the focus down there is coming from a perspective for the retreat that we come into our incarnation in any life, whether it's this one or a previous one, and we sign a contract of what am I coming into this one to achieve, and then also part of that contract is what am I putting in my way as the obstacles to grow past, because it's all part of that contract that we agree to in the space of the life between lives. So when I go to Peru, the facilitation I'm doing down there is one past life regression where we connect to the life most closely associated to our purpose in this one. And then the second one is the life most closely associated to the challenges we chose for this one. And then at the end of the week, we do an integration of all the wisdom from those two past life regressions and what's it all mean to help everybody really unleash their purpose in a powerful way here and now to make the world a better place.
I often wonder, my current health issues. Could that be linked to a past life experience or past life that I had?
I've heard of such things. There's a possibility there that you're carrying some old energy from a past life.
Mhm. Because it's weird that everything just seemed to happen all at once.
Yeah, I was watching and tracking you on Facebook. Like, where'd that come from?
Mhm.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, it started with the weakness, and then I had a blowout in my bowel, and then my white blood cells were high.
Hmm.
Then it just seemed like everything tumbled from there. I went to the hospital and had my heart checked, and my two my valves were blown out, and I had those replaced in December. And then I had two aneurysms, one in my belly and one in my leg in February.
Oh, wow.
And then next Tuesday, I'm looking at getting a defibrillator put in.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting.
What, Mom? Yeah, I got a life vest on right now since December, since my surgery.
Oh, wow. Thank you for being here and continuing to do the work that you do.
Yeah.
I can see the purpose there.
Hmm. My my one friend, mommy, nice friend, she said, "Tim, you'll be okay. You got too much hell to raise." That was her exact word.
There's something to that.
Hmm.
My dad just passed in December at just shy of 93. And same thing. He had way too much hell to raise, and it had the body not given out, the mind was still there to keep raising it.
Yeah. Yep. And then I think that's one. one purpose of my mom, she's a breast cancer survivor, and I think one of her purposes is to take care of me.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it goes around. It connects.
Yeah, it's really good to be back on the radio again, Daniel. It's really good to have you back on my show after so many years.
Yeah, it's been what, about 2 years since I was last on with Shannon. The
Yeah,
last time we had a chat. Yeah.
and we were having some audio and video problems there too, and I don't know what happened there, but I think maybe it had something to do with my internet connection here. I don't know because we got a stronger internet now
Hmm.
with
It
our.
might be that, or anytime Shannon's on, you're playing in some really high frequencies. She might, he might have just been messing with the electronics.
Yeah, she might have been because like every time she's on my show, whether it's here or my apartment, I have problems with it.
Hmm. Yeah, she plays in some very high frequencies. I really admire her a lot.
Mhm. I was looking on online where Chip lives, um from like New York City up to Albany. There's an area there that's known for paranormal activity.
I didn't know that.
The Hudson Valley or something it's called. They call it.
Hmm.
And there was a book I think Alan Hynek wrote about the UFO activity in the Hudson Valley.
Is that the one I'm thinking of that's up in that area? That's the really famous case was what, the incident at Exeter, but I don't know if that was in New York or whether it was elsewhere in New England.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Betty and Barney Hill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That might have been up in that area. I don't know.
Hmm.
And I
Gotta
know Alan Hynek was working on a case up there too. Whenever he was working for them, doing up um stuff for the government.
Mhm. Yeah, he had an interesting life.
He did. I had sung Paul on here a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's a real interesting guy. I really liked him. He was good.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a fascinating space, and it's funny how that topic has become popular again in the past 2 years, and even, like, what, in the past 2 weeks, there's been updated pictures or old pictures surfacing that are super high res of UFOs that hadn't been seen before or suddenly reappeared.
Yeah. What's your theory, Daniel, about the activity increasing, the UFO activity increasing?
I wonder if it's actually increasing, or are we just hearing more about it
Oh yeah,
because
maybe.
we're aware of it? I'd love to think that excuse me. I'd love to think that it's an a race from outside of this planet that's here to help us be better people. Um, my cynical side says probably not. And then I just go to that old Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man, and just wonder whether when we're going to turn into a recipe. But I'd love to think that there is a higher intelligence out there than what we've experienced so far on this planet, because I'm woefully sad for what I see for intelligence on this planet at this point from the human race.
Maybe they're trying to save us from certain individuals, or maybe to try to save us from destroying ourselves.
Hmm. That would be nice. That would be really nice to see some intervention on that space. And that's one of the things that I'm so passionate about is I am so tired of all of the division and argument at every level of human existence that just keeps us separated rather than working together.
Mhm.
It could be so simple, yet we make it so hard.
That's one thing that I liked about Chip. He was on one side of the the spectrum, and I was on the other side of the political spectrum, and we got along really good.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a balance there of, like,
Mm.
everybody comes to their place of being and believing through their experiences in life, and it's okay to disagree. We're losing that as a society when people just get up in arms because they might believe something differently than I do, and it's all about what they believe and it has to be right. And social media has made that such a I don't know what the word is I want to use, that it's there's this righteous justification of anger that you will hear me versus I will listen to you.
Mhm. And I thought, yesterday we celebrated the anniversary of 9/11. I thought after that, after the attacks, that we would become a more loving people, a more loving country. And I think we did for the short time, and then we went back to the same old thing.
hmm Yeah, I saw a post from somebody on yesterday that I had never really thought about before. It's a friend of mine who's a chiropractor down in Redondo Beach, and it was a picture he put up. He's like, the big memorials that happened on Sunday for 9/11. He's like, I really wish we would remember 9/12 because that was the day that we all came together
Mhm.
as a country and we were unified for a little while. But that was the first day in a long time that we were together and taking care of each other.
Yeah, kind of wish we were, you know, doing that again, but maybe
Maybe, maybe that's what the aliens are here to tell us to do.
maybe be more loving, not destroy ourselves, huh?
Mhm. That was the main theme of the main plot point in Watchmen.
Yeah,
The comic book and the TV or the movie that there was a faked alien invasion to stop the world from destroying itself. Yeah, the threat's big enough we might actually come back together.
yeah. Daniel, on your trips, you have been able to reconnect with spirit and meditate. How did that go? What did you what changed about you after those trips?
After the very first trip, so I've been there 3 times now, I'm going back again, twice next year. After the first trip, I really learned what it meant to be present
Mhm.
in the moment. I could talk a good game prior to that trip, but going from living at essentially sea level to spending a week somewhere between 10 and 13,000 feet in the Sacred Valley, air's a little bit thin up there. And there was one day after I'd acclimated a little bit, I went to run something back to my room in the hotel and had forgotten just how high it was and how thin the air was. Now, I might have ran slash jogged about 50, 60 feet. But the way I was breathing at that point, you would have thought I had just sprinted a mile. And I'm like, "Oh my god, huh." Like, slow down and stop. And that's when I really learned what it means to be absolute present in every breath. And that changed a lot because it made me more consciously slow down and not worry about what happened before, not worry about what's gonna happen next, but what's here right now that needs to be done. Then on the second and third trips were really more spiritually opening for me. Um, on the second trip, I experienced ayahuasca for the first time. That was very interesting. And then third trip, I actually started channeling while I was there. Like this collective voice just started coming through me as I'm sitting with some others. It happened 3 different occasions on that trip where one time the voice was coming through and I knew it wasn't my voice. I could hear it. The second time it was me filtering and presenting the information, but it was still coming through. The third time I was sitting in a drum circle and I just disappeared, beating the crap. I know I was beating the crap out of the drum, but I was not there doing it.
Wow. Does does the does the spirit call you by name when you're in that moment?
No, because I was talking to others, so it never addressed me. But I knew I could feel it. It was a collective presence. There were 10 or 12 different beings there. And as that voice was coming through me, it was really a raspy, almost like I hate to use the word serpent, but it was like this hissy, like yes, whispery, with long drawn out S's. And I could hear everything. I knew what I was saying, but I wasn't the one saying it. But it was profoundly accurate information for the people I was talking to.
Wow. Dan, you had some paranormal experiences when you were younger, when you were growing up. Is that correct?
Oh, I did, yeah. I grew
What,
up in a house that I swear was haunted.
what was that experience like?
So on a simple level, there were always the little shadows outside the windows or somewhere else in the room that you'd catch out of the corner of your eye and you'd look, there wouldn't be anything there. And then it would be you'd sit something down somewhere in the house, sit it on the end table or put it on a bookcase, and you go back to pick it up a few hours later or a day later, it was gone. So, of course, I'd always blame my mom, like, "Where'd you move my stuff to?" "I didn't touch it, stop." "It's not where I put it." Um, and that happened to everybody in the house. It wasn't just me. There were always things being moved around. There were instances where both my parents and my sister saw doors opening by themselves. I thankfully never had that one happen. But the one that I did have across a number of years, from probably I was about 3.5 or 4 up until I was 5 or 6, I would periodically hear people calling my name who weren't there. I'd hear this, "Danny!" I'd run downstairs to like, "Mom, what'd you want?" I didn't call you. I don't know what you're talking about. But then one day, this would have been sometime over the summer. I remember that much about it. Because it was warm enough that we had a little swimming pool outside. I'd been playing in it, and I went inside, to run up to the bathroom. Bathroom is on the 2nd floor, kind of in the center of the floor plan, and as I'm in the bathroom, this would have been, oh, I know it was in the summer 'cause it was right after 4th of July. The local fire department had a fair every year. My sister had 2 balloons in her, bedroom from the fair. While I'm in the bathroom, one of those balloons popped. That was shocking enough. I'm not expecting a balloon to pop. After it, I heard this cackling laugh. Even my 5-year-old self knew I am getting the hell out of this house now. And I ran across my parents' room, which was in the center of the house on the 2nd floor, ran for the staircase. When I got to the top of the stairs, it felt like my legs were pumping, but I wasn't moving. Like I had run a uh, a rubber band to extension, and I'm just running in place, and I knew it. I reached out, grabbed the banister, and I was down those steps and out the door. And so my mom was in the yard. I'm like, I am never going back in that house. I'm done. Never going back again. Um, as I've gone back working with different holistic healers, metaphysical people, some psychics, and also some personal journey work, gone back and revisited that experience. And I've realized from it that it wasn't that I ran a rubber band to extension. What happened in that moment was that whatever presence was there actually had the back of my shirt and was holding on to me until I grabbed that banister and pulled myself away. And
Wow.
that's I'm just getting tingly thinking about it right now. But I went back and visited that a couple of times to get that awareness, and then also dealt with it at a different level to kind of clear all that energy away from me now, 50 some years later.
Do you think that's what motivated you to become a hypnotherapist?
I think it was a big part of it actually, because I've always had this spiritual side to me that, like I said, it's been there since I was 4 or 5, and I've always had this awareness. And as a child, I didn't know what to do with it, and it actually scared me. And there have been a number of times over the years where I'd open up to it and something would happen, or my light was so bright, I'd draw the vampires and the moths in, so to speak, and I would shut down again to protect myself. And it wasn't until I went through my hypnotherapy training in my late 40s that I actually learned how to open up to it and protect myself and know that I am vastly more powerful than any of those entities are, and they ain't gonna mess with me. So you want to play? We'll play,
Mhm,
but you ain't gonna win.
mm. Do you know there's been some experiences where mom and I have seen like dragonflies and doves and just kind of appear and like they would appear to us like when we would be standing outside in front of the house by our car, a dragonfly would show up, and then we were like in Cranberry at a parking lot. Um, that's about 30 minutes from here,
Mhm.
and the same thing happened, and this went on for quite a while. Do you think that maybe uh, a loved one's coming to visit?
Could it be a loved one, or there could be a message in the animal or the insect. As I'm trying to think what the shamanic meaning of dragonfly is, and I believe it's transformation.
Mm,
Or dove tends to be the universal symbol of love and hope. Dragonfly, I believe, is a transformational level.
transformation to what extent?
I wish I could recall off the top of my head. Um, I think it is also spiritual. I'd have to look it up. It's been a while since I researched dragonfly,
Mhm.
but it's a unique one. I know that it's a powerful totem.
That's what I thought. You think it could be my totem or my mom's totem?
Could be both.
Could be both. Mm.
Could be a family tie.
Yeah, it's weird because it appeared to both of us at the same time.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a message in that.
Mhm. And the first time it was what before Billy died, Mom? Yeah, before my cousin Billy passed away, they appeared to us, and then
Hmm.
a couple of weeks ago, another one appeared to us in front of our car right when we were standing in front of the house.
I'm going to look it up really quick.
Yeah.
Dragonfly is connected to the symbolism of change and light. When the dragonfly shows up in your life, it may remind you to bring a bit more lightness and joy into your life. Those
Mm.
who have this animal as a totem may be inclined to delve deep into their emotions and shine their true colors.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yes, Mom. Yeah, a couple weeks ago we had I think it was a robin that flew on right past me on the porch and scared the crap out of me. It hit the front door, then it flew away. Huh.
Hmm. And the spirit guide reminds us that we should not only be aware of our surroundings and that it is equally important to set our focus inwards before we reach a decision. It gives us the strength to believe in our capabilities, reminding us that we will thrive in any environment and circumstances. Whenever you see a dragonfly, try to remember that whatever you are struggling with, it will pass and you will come out of it stronger than ever before.
Wow.
That seems timely.
Yeah, it is. And that was before my all the stuff health wise kind of fell apart with me too. It's kind of
Hmm.
weird.
Interesting. So that's from spiritanimals.org.
Wow. What about if you see a pair of doves? What does that mean?
I think that is, let's see, dove would be peace and love. The pairing, I would assume, would be a connection of some sort of a coupling or relationship and a bonding of love and peace.
Mm, wow. Yeah, there's a pair of three of them. They flew through the front porch when Mom and I were standing outside last summer.
Because one of the things about doves is that they pair for life. That's one of the powerful things about that particular bird.
Wow. Amazing.
Hmm.
So you think that
Lots of love and strength going on around you.
was that
Lots of love and strength going on around you.
really? So what's that mean? I have loved ones around me?
No, there's a lot of love around you.
Ah,
There's a lot of energy, a lot of caring.
wow. Hmm.
They're opening up now. Here we go.
Wow.
They're starting to creep in.
Are they protective?
Yeah. Yep. They're looking out for you, letting you know.
Is it loved ones or just spirit?
I'm
Or a
sensing a
combination?
combination. Sensing a combination.
That's what I sense too.
Yeah. There's family, and there are those who have been your family in the past.
Are you able to tell or just get a sense of how many, whether I'm an old soul, young soul, or past lives, or
Let me tune into that.
okay?
This is fun. I haven't played here in a while. This is
Oh,
fun. Thank you. Thank you.
welcome. I've been wondering that recently.
What's that?
I've been wondering that recently with everything that's been going on with me, so and it just popped in my head to ask you
Yeah.
about.
The sense and the image that I'm getting is that you're not a young soul, and you're in that, I guess what I would call it is like middle-aged but not old.
Mm, that's good.
Yep. Still in the still like learning and growing and evolving quickly, that you're past a lot of the nonsense of the youth, and there's still some time to play before you have to get really serious and be like, "Oh, yes."
Mhm. Interesting.
Let's see what else I can pick up here.
Okay. Daniel, your trips to Peru, has that helped you with connect with your spirit?
It has, very much so.
Mm.
Um, Particularly, and again, it goes back to that being in the now idea, that when we as humans can get out of this churn that particularly the Western world gets stuck in, of worrying about the next thing, worrying about what happened before, and oh, because this happened in my life, now I'm traumatized. Okay, fine. I get it. Not disavowing trauma. I'm not disavowing dark things happening in the world. And at the same time, if we're here in this moment, that in any given moment, there's really nothing we need. That in the present moment, with nothing else around, no concern about the future, no concern about the past, we're here and everything's okay. And that in that moment, all possibilities available. So the more we can clear our monkey mind from making noise of distraction from the past or the present, of like, I got all these things I need to do. No, you don't. You have one thing to do, and that's to be. Make your choice from there. That you can hear more of your subconscious wisdom come through, and you can connect to that higher presence that's available because the noise of this is gone, the noise of the brain.
Wow. Yeah, that's what mom says. She goes, "I got so much to do. I don't, today, and I can't get it done, and all that stuff."
You do one thing at a time.
That's what I keep telling her. I said, "Slow down, mom.
Yep.
You don't have to get it all done the same day. I said, you always got tomorrow."
Yep.
And she's like, "You always tell me that." I want to get it done now. I need to do it now.
It'll get done when it gets done,
Hmm.
and it'll get done more easily when we stop trying to do 10 things at once.
Yep.
One thing now, the next thing next, the next thing after that. Just be in the moment. Um, Yet we get so spun up thinking it has to be done because we get all this pressure that either we put on ourselves or other people put on us, that it has to be a certain way when it really doesn't.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at, going back to my apartment again, and getting a first floor apartment at the facility, at the, building I'm in, and it's it's a little bit hectic because they don't give me like 2 weeks to move in.
Hmm.
Overwhelming quite a bit. It was even more overwhelming when they were doing all the renovations. I had to get everything out of there and bring everything over here.
Hmm.
I mean, that was right before I got sick.
When are you looking at moving back in there?
Um, they're right now they're working on a bathroom because they got a water leak, from the floor up above. So they're working on that, and they said about 2 weeks
Hmm. Awesome.
I would have to get in there. So,
Hmm.
but I'll still be here the majority of the time,
Okay.
where mom can, help take care of me, and my nurses come, and my
Hmm.
therapy. I got occupational therapy again.
Hmm.
My insurance approved it, so the
Excellent.
doctor just wrote a script out for it, and yeah, looking out pretty good.
Like I said, you're surrounded by love there.
Hmm.
Like I said, you're surrounded by love there.
Wow, that's awesome. I need to hear that.
Mm.
Yeah, mom said we didn't think we were because she has a cousin across the street that's kind of like, what did you say yesterday, mom? You said asshole or something to her. He's on the porch and mom was outside and he's like asshole. I don't know if he was referring to her or what. What he meant by that?
Who knows? Maybe it was a spirit he saw outside.
Maybe. He's got his own issues. His son died. His son was the same age as me,
Hmm.
and he died when he was 13 years old. And I think maybe he owed some hurt or regret because of that, or envy or whatever. That I'm still here and his son's not.
Hmm. Understandable.
Mm.
That you would carry that pain and trauma. Understandable.
And they live in the same house, and Jimmy's bedroom is still the same as it was when he was alive.
Oh, wow.
The same bedroom furniture, the same bedspread. They never changed it.
Hmm. Wow.
And then my mom got burnt 20 some years ago. My brother and I were over there. No, it wasn't 20 years ago. It was like more like 30 some years ago. And we were over there spending the night, and they're like, "That's Jimmy's room. Don't go in there." And they had the door cracked open, and I looked in and saw everything laid out the way it was when he was alive.
Hmm.
It's like it's a sanctuary for them.
Hmm. Yeah, and most like it probably it sounds like it is. It's a space for them for remembering and honoring.
Is that healthy to do that?
Hmm.
Is it?
Until it isn't.
Until it isn't.
It's their healing journey is their healing journey.
Mhm. And they don't seem to wanna move or get a smaller condo or anything. They seem to wanna be content where they're at.
Hmm. Yeah, and that would be if they're happy and in whatever defines happiness for them. If they're happy with that, then more power to them.
Yep, that's what I say.
Yep.
When you went to Peru, I guess you had some experiences with shaman or something? Or
Yeah, we have shaman come and do different rituals with us during the week. We'll do a number of despacho ceremonies, which are offerings to Mother Earth, where they'll create a design based out of cookies and candies because Mother Earth loves sweets. Um, they'll roll it up in paper. They'll first set a design. It was fascinating watching them lay out all these pieces of candy and cookies in a design. That's just whatever comes spur of the moment to them. And then they'll have each of the participants take 3 coca leaves and hold them in a fan and make our wish to the coca leaves, breathe on them 3 times, hand them to the shaman who then places them into the design. Once everybody's wishes are in, they'll say a blessing over it, close the box, close the bag up or the wrapping, and place it into the fire to be burned as the offering to both the earth and the air. So we'll do that 2 or 3 times during the week, and then depending on those individuals who would like to participate in plant medicine, which tends to be Wachuma or San Pedro, which is grandfather plant, there'll be a shaman come to facilitate that experience one day.
Hmm, interesting. Did you hear spirit call you by name?
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Wow. Is that is it source or is it loved ones? How do you define that?
In that one, the times it happened, I was so young. I Thinking back, I didn't know at the time. I just sensed it was a ghost in the house. Thinking about it now with what I know, it may have been sourced or it may have been like a member of my soul group from the Life Between Life calling me to awaken. Um, I guess there's also a possibility that it could have been me, which is
Mm.
strange to think about, but
You had those similar experiences when you were in Peru, right?
yeah.
Or
Yeah, where there it wasn't that I heard them call my name, they just showed up, and I knew they were in the room. I could feel them, I could sense where they were in the room. It's like, "So, what are we doing here?" But it was a different type of connection than the hearing of my voice or the hearing of my name being called. This was about that energy or that presence coming through me to be spoken to others. which
That
changed
one,
it just a little bit.
yeah. That one time you were there, I think you posted an image of a being right beside you or something when you were.
Oh, there's the picture at Machu Picchu that's all me all bendy.
Yeah.
There's the great debate of whether it was my digital camera got stuck between two modes or was something weird happening at Machu Picchu that day because I've got this bend through me that's just digital noise that I've never seen a digital camera do before.
Mhm.
That some people have told me that a digital camera again can get stuck between modes, like if you're flipping from panoramic to regular shot. I've never seen it. I won't say it's not possible, but it's a better story to say it's spooky.
Yeah, because I don't think I've ever seen that happen
I
in
never have.
any picture.
Mm-mm. It's just so cool. Like let's just play with it. It's mysterious energies at Machu Picchu because it's a pretty amazing place.
Mhm.
The it's the as far as elevation, it's the lowest point of our week there in Peru because it's at between 6,500 and 7,000 feet. The retreat center is closer to 10,000. So we're actually coming down a bit. It's a little bit easier to breathe there after you've spent a couple of days at 10,000 feet. But just the energy of the Sacred Valley is so incredibly beautiful and pure. And the people who live there, while from a Western, particularly a US perspective, we might say they live in very poor conditions compared to the US. They are some of the most loving, giving, and appreciative people I have ever met on this planet. Like, they truly live in the moment. There is no worry about the future. There is no concern over the pasts. We're here now. We are thankful for Pachamama, for Mother Earth, for everything she provides for us. And they have a concept there called Aini, AYNI, which is this idea of reciprocity and community, that it's essentially you today, me tomorrow. That if you're in need today, I will take care of you. And if you need something tomorrow, or if I need something tomorrow, then you'll be there to help me out. So everybody lives off the land, and what the land provides is what the land provides. And if you have something that you can aid someone else with, you do it. And if they can then help you later on, they, not through obligation but through this community bond, will do it. And I saw it the first trip down in December of 20. The retreat center where I was staying, we got there, it was a rainy, damp night, even though that is their summer. And there's a fire going in the welcome center, and some smoke was kind of coming in to the building. We thought it was just the heaviness of the damp air pushing the smoke down. Go to bed. Take a sleeping pill to help me adjust to the altitude and get some sleep because it was a long travel day. Heard a little bit of noise outside, didn't think anything of. I was out cold.
Mm.
Woke up the next morning and my friend who runs the center is standing outside of the welcome building, looking up in just a state of shock and blank stare at this hole that's about 6 feet wide right around the chimney. And what had happened is a wire caught on fire,
Oh, wow.
ignited the thatch roof, started the building on fire. And because of what he had done to support the communities of the Sacred Valley during COVID, because Peru went into true martial law, they were locked down internally and internationally. There were no flights in, and you did not move more than a certain number of feet or miles from your home. Because of what he was able to do to take them food from his garden and other things, they came in and took care of him with that, not only putting the fire out that night because the um, fire department was on holiday. They showed up with buckets
Mm.
and took water out of his swimming pool, walked it about 50 or 60 feet over to the building, went up ladders and truly bucket brigaded to put this fire out,
Wow.
and told him that next morning, don't worry about it. We'll have it fixed for you by the end of the week because you took care of us. It was fixed before I left to leave back to the US.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat how they help each other out.
hmm And the little funny things that came from it that were later learnings is that had the fire department not been on holiday and they would have rolled the truck out, the pressure from the hose probably would have destroyed the building. So
Yeah,
that would have been a loss where it might seem like, "Oh my god, the fire department's not here." It actually worked out better that they put it out the way they did.
because they were actually able to save some of the building, huh?
Yeah, they saved everything except for that patch that was on fire. So,
Wow.
like, 6-foot hole in the ceiling, "We got you. We'll take care of it."
Wow, that's amazing.
And the US, you'd barely have permits ordered in a week.
I think the fire departments here in the States destroy stuff more than they save and protect it.
Mhm. Yeah, that old joke, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Yep. Wow.
What else is new?
Yeah. And you ran into some shaman over there, right?
Yeah.
What was that
Yeah,
like?
they are wonderful. So they're so connected both to the earth and to spirit that it is awe-inspiring to sit with them. Is they are attuned to messages, from from the earth and just from being in the moment. I remember the first trip down in December of 20. The On all 3 trips, we went to a mountaintop that's about 14,000 feet to watch sunrise over the Andes, and each time there was a shaman there to perform our despacho, perform a blessing of the mountains, because the Peruvians hold the mountains very sacred. They're called Apus down there, APU, as the sacred mountains of the valley. And the first time, the guy who was the main shaman that day, there were a few, but who was leading all the activities going on, as he was talking to us later in the day, found out that when the Smithsonian Institute was documenting the descendants of the Inca, he's the guy they brought in.
Wow.
Oh wow, we're talking some serious gravitas here, and he's just such a cool guy. And went to his neighbor's house and had a quinoa and potato soup right after that as kind of a late breakfast, really healthy but very simple meal. Um, just truly loving, giving people, but they live in true connection to the land,
Kinda like the Native Americans do, huh?
exactly like that. Yep, there is no waste.
Wow.
They use all of everything. Watching them um, take. I'm blanking on the animal now.
Mm.
Alpaca. Baby alpaca, shearing, spinning the wool, doing all of it just with what look like little tops, in the same way that the Amish probably were and are still in some cases making textiles. They make these wonderfully beautiful woven fabrics from all the raw materials and dye them with the blood of a beetle that lives in the cactus. They're tiny, tiny, tiny little white discs. When you crush them, they're actually a permanent red dye that's used in lipsticks and other things.
Mhm.
So you could tell somebody like that one, hey, that's beetle blood on your lips. But it's a permanent red ink that when you expose it to different chemicals like salts or other things, will shift colors to an orange or a beautiful blue or a bright yellow. That's what they use as the base of all their dyes.
Do they believe in curses?
I think they do because the one shaman that we work with down there, he does a lot of clearings of
Mm,
people who have carried things from others. So I would imagine that they do have an understanding and a belief that it is possible to curse somebody or put a dark energy on them.
'cause, Chip used to say there's no curse without the belief in a curse, and I kinda disagree with that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of both to it. That someone can throw a curse, but until the recipient has a belief that it's there and starts living into the activities, because beliefs ultimately show up in our behaviors, that if I start thinking that someone has cursed me, then my thoughts become real, shows up in my actions, and I start looking for validation of this thing being there when it might that that accident, trip and fall or something like that. And if I'm believing there's a curse, I'm going to say the curse is the reason I trip and fell and broke my leg. But it could have just been I tripped and I fell and broke my leg. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to have any bigger meaning than that. And that's what was the book? The book and a movie back in the late 80s, The Serpent and the Rainbow,
Mm.
that was all about that. That the going into Dominican Republic and Haiti. There was a guy who researched the the voodoo practitioners putting curses on people, and I think if I remember the book correctly, he tied so much of it back to the belief of the person that there was something on them that actually showed up in how they started living their life.
Mm. My grandma and my great aunt used to get in this discussion. I mean, they used to talk about Ed and Lorraine Warren of all people at times, and
Hmm.
the subject come up about curses. And I guess there was something in my grandmother's past about a curse. And then when my great aunt said that about a curse, because he because my cousin Jimmy passed away when he was 13, my grandma told her sister, she said, "Shut up, there's no such thing as curses."
Hmm. Sometimes we just don't want to believe it. It's safer not to.
Mhm. Yeah.
Why put, or as some people might think of it, why speak it into reality, or why give it any energy?
Mhm.
Mhm. It could be a protective thing to just say, "No, no, 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 let's not go there."
Mhm.
But I
How do you
think
not
there's
huh?
Go ahead. What was that?
How do you not believe it, or how do you protect yourself from someone throwing negative energy to you?
The first wave when I started into it was protecting myself with white light, using that as a core, and nothing can come in that I don't allow in, because ultimately the thing to understand for everybody, nothing outside of you has power over you unless you give it away to it. So whether that's on a very basic level a cigarette, people who give their power away to this little cylinder of tobacco, or to a drink, or to any other thing that's outside of them that they feel drawn or addicted to. Um, Something outside of me, somebody wants to throw some energy my way, it can only have power over me if I allow it.
Mm.
I just don't allow it. It doesn't come in. And the other side of that that I eventually grew into an understanding, and this one I would say to everybody as well, but it typically takes a little bit longer for it to land, is that you are infinitely more powerful than you know, and nothing can mess with you because nothing is brighter than the light. Nothing is brighter than source. And even all that nonsense, the perceived, well, what I'm air quoting here, negative energies, they're all part of the spectrum of light, and the roll from shadow to full on light, that they all have a purpose. They're there for a reason. They're not necessarily evil in the capital E sense, but they're all part of the flow of what is. But I'm not giving them power.
Mm.
And if anything wants to come at me that wants to try that, it it I have to believe I am infinitely more powerful,
Mhm.
and know that for a fact. There was a client I had early on where there was an entity with them that when it came time to say, "You're out of here," I remember the client in the chair with eyes closed. I'd been sitting off to their right in the chair I was in facilitating. They had been staring straight ahead, and as I said, "Okay, for you to leave," to the entity, this person turned their head with eyes closed, squared right on my face, and said, "Oh, you think I'm going somewhere? You want me to come after you next?"
Mm.
And that's when I was like, "We're done here. You're gone." Like, that's it. And then the light came in, we pushed it out, and it went away quickly.
Wow.
That was my first real experience facilitating an entity.
Hmm.
Then they all go that way.
Hmm.
I have gentler ways of releasing them now, but they're not staying around.
Right. My mom has a question. She said, "What is the white light exactly?"
The white light is, you could call it God, you could call it source, you could call it universe. It is the full spectrum of all things, the divine awareness, the divine intelligence, and absolute protection. You could call it, I've heard it called the Christ light. That light of pure love, actually.
Do you have to ask it to surround you? That was her question.
That's a really good question. I think there is, to some degree, I think there's an element of it always around you, but if you want the intense protection, it's worth asking. Bring the intentionality to it, because as we live as part of the universe, and if we take the idea that we live in a loving universe that we are absolutely part of, that loving experience is always around us, but sometimes we forget it. So it's helpful to remind ourselves by the intentional asking to bring it in even stronger.
Does that answer your question, Mom?
Yeah, very good.
She said that. Yeah, very good. She said.
Woo! I win.
Yeah, I still I thought about again, Daniel, with your rosaries, how they
Mhm.
disappeared off the radar and then they reappeared somewhere else, and then they finished their trip. I was just wondering, that had to be divine energy. Being
I
those,
think so. Yeah, the negative energy of the United States Post Office certainly wasn't doing us any favors there, but they disappeared into that black hole for months.
I know.
Because you did those for me in like pre-season or the first few weeks of the 2019 season, because my goal was to have them in hand before my wife and I left for a trip going overseas in January. And you sent me the shipping and everything else, and they just disappeared. And I think it was in April of 20 they suddenly showed up after we had both berated the post office to figure out what happened to them. I'm surprised we didn't wind up on an FBI watch list over some of that.
I know. I was furious with them, man. I called and I bitched, and how many times? And I must have been about 6 times I called and and complained about it.
Yeah, it was funny when the package showed up. I'm like, is this what I think it is? Oh my god!
I thought maybe one of the employees took it and kept it for themselves. It wasn't even open or anything.
Mhm.
That's weird.
Yep, and like I said, it kept my wife from being able to pray for her team in the Super Bowl. So we wound up winning that. The Chiefs wound up winning that season.
That was awesome. No, you put holy blessed oil on them. You rubbed blessed oil on them. Yeah, pretty amazing stuff.
Hmm. Sometimes you just can't write it. Reality is more fun.
Yep. Mommy, you have any more questions for Daniel? She's thinking. Mhm. Dan, you want to go on? You want to go on a break?
Yeah, let's take a quick one.
Okay. You're listening to Supernatural Realm on the Vera Radio Network. My special guest and good friend Daniel Alexa. I will be right back right after this. Don't mind the commercials, Daniel. I didn't make them, but yeah. We'll be right back right after this. Maybe.
You're listening to the VARA Network.
My name's Joe Biden.
All of this as more than half of Americans think President Biden will go down as one of the worst presidents in American history.
I keep forgetting I'm president.
Whoa, with me.
You're listening to the VARA Network.
My name's Joe Biden. No man has a right to raise a hand to a woman. And so we have to just change the culture and keep punching at it and punching at it and punching at it.
I'm cuckoo.
Just when I came to the United States Senate 120 years ago, I promise you, the president has a big stick. I mean, he has made clear that, my name's Joe Biden. I keep forgetting I'm president.
Let's go, Brandon.
Hey.
Let's go, Brandon.
Hey.
Let's go.
Hey, frequencies everywhere. Let the world know how you feel. Slide into a brand new Let's Go Brandon t-shirt. The crowds in stadiums around the country have expressed their mutual feelings about the current administration, and now you can make a statement by wearing one of our Let's Go Brandon t-shirts. Go to www.lastfrequency.com, click on the shop tab, and let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street. There's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
You're listening to the VARA Network.
The search is over. You found us. You're listening to The Last Frequency.
Don't forget to hit the donate button on the way out. That will help The Last Frequency stay on the air. Just go to lastfrequency.com and send some good frequencies our way. Or take advantage of one of our subscription levels designed to help fund what is free for all. The Last Frequency Radio.
Frequencies everywhere. I want to tell you where you can get your hands on some really good designer face masks and tees. Oh, yeah, we've got our own line, but let me tell you about another one. All right, and you could go, well, first off, not only can you get your face mask, but you can get bumper stickers too. Oh, yeah, put those babies on the back of the car. Put them wherever you really want, and stick them up and let people be aware that The Last Frequency is here. If you go over to lastfrequency.com and scroll down to the bottom of the webpage, you will see on the right-hand side a banner with a UFO on it, and it has, well, it's linked up. You click on that banner, it'll take you over to the website for your purchases of these fantastic bumper stickers, these masks, and, well, everything your little heart desires. It's all right there. So go on over to thelastfrequency.com and click on that banner.
You're listening to the VARA Network. Hey, frequencies of all walks of life. Keep up with all things TLF Radio by joining our mailing list. Go to the bottom of the homepage and fill in the form. You'll get everything from guest info and show info and other important station-related information. So sign up now.
Frequencies around the world. Listen up. The shop is here, and you can order TLF radio swag right now and show your friends and neighbors you're awake by wearing one of our many shirts, including our Let's Go Brandon shirt. That one is a hot seller, so get yours while supplies last. We have coffee mugs, clocks, so never miss your favorite shows, books, mouse pads. Just go to thelastfrequency.com and click the shop link. That's thelastfrequency.com and get to shopping.
All righty, we're back, Daniel.
Yes.
Yeah, we do have a phone number here. I'm going to get back up here. The number is 724-602-2826. It's 724-602-2826, Daniel. If anybody has any questions for you, they can call.
Let's go for that. Call on in. Try to stump me. Test my trivia knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Or is that trivial knowledge? I'm not sure which.
Trivial knowledge, I guess. I don't know. So how's the fires at where you're at, Daniel?
Not too bad up here right now. California's certainly dry, particularly up in this part of the state. There is one up in Mendocino County, which is north of us, and I think there's one down west of the San Diego area. But we're not quite out of fire season yet. That will happen more in November, but it's been a fairly tame summer so far, even though we've been incredibly hot for the past week and a half. It finally cooled on Monday, or finally cooled over the weekend, actually.
Are you experiencing any of the smoke from the fires?
The one that's a few hours away to the north, when the winds shifted a couple weeks ago, we actually had some smoky haze coming in on high level in the area, and you could actually smell it in the air, but it was from a few hundred miles away, just being carried down.
Wow. I wonder what's causing all them fires in California. I mean, every year it's like, they have major fires.
A lot of it is this state is so dry, or whatever you want to attribute it to, and I don't know whether it's the incredible climate change or whether it's just patterns on this earth that we haven't become fully aware of. There is a warming going on. I'm not going to debate that. The causes of it, I'm more than happy to debate. But we are in a dry weather pattern, and it just happens. Whether it's through carelessness, or whether it's through arson, or whether it's through an accident of a power line coming down in the wind, which happened a few years ago that ignited one of the big fires. It's just a reality of people living in a dry state.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that kind of annoys me about all of it. And the same thing happens in flood areas, that a natural event takes place, and then what we hear about it is, the terrible things that happened and all the homes and everything that were lost. They're only lost because they were built in a floodplain. The houses here are only lost because they were built in a place that burns.
Yeah.
Had they not been here, would we hear about it? How many fires take place in areas where people don't live, and all we do is go in and put them out, and there's no need for any other further discussion. We have brought it on ourselves. The same issue with people complaining about wild animals walking through the neighborhood. They were there first. Figure a way to live with them.
Do you think some of the fires are caused by natural means, or do you think it's arson?
It's a combination. There's some that I think are natural, whether it's a lightning strike, which is somewhat rare out here. Lots of different ways that it could happen naturally. Some have been arson, and some I think are just accidents of a spark, or someone not thinking, maybe throwing a cigarette out a window, or even a car backfiring into some dry scrub would all take place.
I was watching on the news where California is going to be one of the first ones to go all electric cars or something by 2030.
34. I saw that news a couple of weeks ago. They will take my internal combustion engine over my cold dead body. I am keeping my Jeep so that I can run into the hills and watch the zombie apocalypse when it happens.
Yep,
You are not taking my 4-wheel drive Jeep away from me.
exactly. My dad used to say, "Run it till the wheels fall off."
Mhm. And then put new wheels on it.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, I appreciate the idea of electric vehicles. There's a bigger issue that there's two bigger issues that have to be addressed. One is battery replacement, because that ain't cheap when it happens.
Right.
Where are the minerals coming from that create those batteries? And then the other side of it is exactly what are you using to charge it with? Because you're still pulling it off of an existing grid that's all old systems. Not all of it's coming from the sun, not all of it's coming from the wind. The majority of it's coming from outdated power plants. You're not saving anything. At least not enough to make the difference that you think you might be making.
Yeah, I'm not.
So
I'm
just
not
like,
a big subscriber to climate change
mhm.
or electric cars, for that matter.
That I at the same time, it's not something I'm into right now. I'll reserve my right to change my mind at some point in the future when I see the technology is improving, which it's gotten really good. I think the
Oh, we got a phone call, Dan.
Hi there. I think
Hello.
Hello?
Hi. Who's calling?
Hi, this is Heather. I had a question.
Okay, Dan, can you hear Heather?
I can.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Heather.
Hi. Okay, so I've currently fallen into a situation in which I need to sell my house.
Mm-hmm.
I had a company come look at it. And during the visit from this particular realtor, I got stung in the head with either a bee or a wasp. I'm not really sure which, but they had made a mess in my basement door that I hadn't used in forever. And then I had the second injury was she asked for a ladder. I went to go and take it out to her, and I dropped it on my foot, and that didn't go well either. And then the third insult was an insult to my ego, because my friend, who is literally 6 years younger than me, said he was like, "Oh, I was telling your daughter," which was a little hurtful. But I was like, you know what? It all happened in threes. Perhaps this was the universe just telling me that this was not the best plan. Maybe I should find something else. Just because, 3 things happening in a 30-minute span. It was like 10 minutes per thing.
Okay.
Felt like maybe it was a sign. I felt like maybe, all the ancestors were like, don't do this.
So this was all around you making arrangements to sell your house. Is that what I heard? Okay. Let me sit with that one for a second.
Okay.
I'm going to make it more practical than that. When you think about selling your house, what do you feel?
That I want to get rid of it.
Okay. Is there anything deeper than that that's in conflict with that idea?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So how is that deeper thing manifesting in these 3 items that are saying to you, maybe I shouldn't?
Well, there are reasons for that. Ultimately, I do believe that is the best thing that I can do. I don't love the situation that I will be putting myself in should I do it.
Okay.
Because I feel it is a situation that is not necessarily the best for me or mine.
Okay, I can hear that. So, strongest emotion always wins. There's either going to be the belief that no matter what happens, you're going to be fine, or there'll be the belief that no matter what happens, it's going to suck. Which one do you want to lean into? Because that's the one that'll get you through. And if it's the fear of what could happen, look at what else could happen that could be beneficial. And I'm not saying make one decision or another because of any one thing, but look at the bigger picture. How might your awareness or your concern over a non-ideal situation as a potential outcome, not as the outcome, actually be creating or bringing your awareness to these events that are nothing more than events and not bigger signs from the universe saying, don't do this?
No, it's not that it was don't do this in general. Like, I have my heart set. Like, this is happening. I've already made my choice. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm selling this house. I'm going through a living situation that I don't love, but I can absolutely handle. I've done it before. I can do it again. Ideally, it will be temporary, and then I will be able to move on to bigger and better things. But it's just, it was more so like, this was like what I expected to be like a lowball offer anyway. This was my first foray into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, all right, these 3 things happened that were really, really bad. And I had gotten advice from someone else, which was like, put a little bit of money in and you might be able to get a bigger return. And I didn't want to put money in. I went with this option just to see what they would say.
Okay.
And I feel like maybe it was the universe being like, yeah, this is not your best option. Like, just put the money in, get more of a return.
Well, I don't know how to answer that one because it could go either way. My suggestion would be slow down and tune into your gut and decide whether this is the offer you want to take or not. Sometimes we wind up taking the offers that on one level we don't think are going to be the best thing, but they open up options for us. And I'll add one other really bizarre piece of information here, that when you were sharing all of that and the moment that you made the declaration of, I've made the decision, I'm going to sell this house, I just happened to look up at the timestamp on our broadcast, and the timestamp was 1/11/11 at that.
Okay, so I'm not great with the numbers.
Oh, 111, like repeating ones are an angel sign, particularly 1111 is Metatron's number.
Okay.
Yep. There's a meaning to it.
Oh, I'm sure. I know I've seen numbers before, but 111 was not one I usually see.
Yeah, it's one I tend to see. So I'm not sure what that means in this collaborative communication, but there's something to it that I happen to notice it at the exact moment you said, I am going to sell this house.
Okay. I thank you for your time.
You are welcome. Thank you for calling in.
Yes. Have a good evening.
You as well. It's like late afternoon for me, so I'm really going to have a good evening.
Yeah, you're 3 hours behind me. So you're
Yep.
good.
Thanks for calling, Heather.
All right, bye.
Bye. Wow, that was a pretty cool call.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I forget what I was going to say right before that. It was back on our prior topic of I think the Prius is actually the state animal of California.
Wow.
There's so many of those things out here.
What's the meaning behind that for the people that don't know, Dan?
Oh, the Prius, the electric car, because we were talking about electric vehicles earlier.
Yeah.
And there's just there is so many of them out here. There's so many Prii on the roads that I was making the joke as we were coming out of that last segment about electric cars that I think it's the state animal of California.
Oh, Prius. Who's that comedian that said, who was that? Um, Peanuts' his puppet, and Jeff Dunham. He always
Oh.
jokes about the Prius, that Jeff has a Prius.
Mhm. I've been in them. They're fine cars, but I just don't want one.
Yeah. There's a few here, and there's even some of those electric bikes running around.
Mhm. That's just laziness right there.
Yeah.
Electric bikes are just laziness. Let's call that what it is. Get out there and pedal.
Yeah, was someone lined up for the church meal today, Mom. The guy that had an electric bike. I'm like, you could afford an electric bike, but you can't afford to cook your own meals. Some things are expensive.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know if I believe in climate change. I don't know if I subscribe to that.
I'm gonna say it in a weird way. It'll take me a second to get out of my mouth. I believe in it because I see it, but I don't believe in what we're told is causing it.
Mm,
Because I'm a scuba diver, and I can when my wife and I travel around the world, and particularly in the 12 years that I've been oh God, 20 years I've been diving. Um, in that time, I have seen the devastation of coral reefs from warmer waters, and that water isn't getting warmer for any other reason than the air is getting warmer too.
mm,
Yet, I don't believe that whatever humanity has been able to do as far as the industrial revolution, the continued movement of burning fossil fuels and all of it, I I have a hard time believing that's enough to have created it. I think there are bigger patterns on this world than we in our 150 or 200 years of keeping records have an ability to track, and we just don't know. This planet's been here for millions or billions of years. It ain't going anywhere.
yeah.
And we were just watching a documentary on George Carlin, and toward the end of it, in one of his later sets, he's talking about people complaining about wanting to save the planet. He's like,
Yeah.
stop worrying about saving the planet because it ain't going anywhere. Humanity on the other side, you're screwed. This planet's been through more than we can more than we can deal with,
Yeah.
and a lot of it. I'll be very controversial here. Humanity is the virus on this planet. That's why it's warming up. The same way our bodies warm up to get rid of a virus, it is trying to thin the herd out. It wants to get back to a place where we can live in harmony with it on some degree, and there's just too many people on the planet. It's time for us to start taking care of ourselves to be better stewards of this ball of mud that we live on, because there ain't nothing else.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful video on YouTube, The Pale Blue Dot, and it's Carl Sagan reading a piece that he wrote when the Voyager probe was leaving the solar system. I don't know how many years ago that was. He went to, it was either JPL or NASA, and asked them that as the probe was heading out to turn it around and face it back toward the sun, toward the center of the galaxy, and take a picture. And they initially resisted, but then with Sagan being Sagan, they did it. And in the last shot it took before it left the solar system was this beautiful expanse of space. You see the galaxy, you can see bits of the solar system, and there's this tiny, 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 tiny little blue speck in all of it.
Mhm.
And he's like, and this great passage that he wrote, and he reads in his wonderful Carl Sagan voice about all of human history has happened on that dot. Everything we've done, all the generations, all the wars, all the wonderful things, it's all happened right there. And that is all there is. And we got to figure it out.
Yeah. I'm wondering too if that's why we're not seeing more UFOs or more unidentified lights or craft,
Mhm.
maybe they're trying to warn us, hoping we don't destroy ourselves.
I hope so. I really hope so because they tend, thinking back to, I used to read a lot of that stuff when I was younger. And now that it's coming back into more of a mainstream conversation again, um, they do seem to pop up in well-populated areas now, and there's usually some kind of military presence either in that area or taking place at the same time. So what was it a couple years ago? The Navy fighter jets
Mhm.
that audio came out and they couldn't explain what they were seeing.
Yeah.
I just wish they would just come out and let us know. Stop,
Yeah.
stop hiding, stop
Mm.
skulking around. Just take care of it already. Let us
And
know.
do you think that's maybe the veil thinning has something to do with why we're seeing more and more activity?
Never really connected it that way, but that could be a possibility.
Mhm.
That if we play in that space as they are from either a different vibrational dimension or a parallel universe, we could play in that space. That would be in alignment with quantum physics.
Wormhole?
Yeah, wormhole that they're at a different vibrational space that we're not perceiving yet until for whatever reason they drop into alignment in three-dimensional reality that we're able to either with our technology or with our physical senses able to perceive them. God knows what's out there that we just can't see because we've never been attuned to it.
Yeah.
So it could be a thinning of the veil.
You have a question, Mom? Oh, she's just listening to us. Danny, we got about a half hour, maybe 35 minutes. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about or cover in the last half hour or so?
There's one thing that came up in one of my trips to Peru that might actually tie into a little bit of conversation you and I had earlier. And it
Okay.
also ties into this bigger conversation of unity and harmony.
Sure.
And it happened for me when I mentioned that ayahuasca journey
Mhm.
that I was on. At the end of it, after a very intense personal healing experience of letting go of a lot of resentment that I had toward individuals in my life, particularly my parents, letting go of that, doing a deep healing and the purging that goes along with everything you've heard about ayahuasca journeys. Yeah, that's real. It happens. The only thing I would call her the goddess of the plant. The plants, the grandmother showed to me as in my vision as a woman. And she took me to a higher plane. We were on a celestial plane having a conversation, like a much broader awareness. And then as I was starting to understand everything in this altered state of consciousness, fully aware, she takes me toward a yellow ball of energy that looks like a sun, but a very calm sun. And we go inside of it. And I remember as we were heading in that direction, I asked her, I just want to know my purpose in this life. Why am I here? And she said to me, your purpose is everyone's purpose. Your purpose is to love. I'm like, oh, okay. That makes sense to me. And she takes me into this, that's when we go into this yellow ball. And I'm bathed in this feeling of intense love and acceptance and everything else. And I remember being there like, I get it. I understand it all. This is amazing. Yes, love is the answer. And then she said to me, okay, so if you are going to be a being of love, you have to show love to that. And she pointed towards something. And when I looked up, you're going to get a great laugh out of this.
Mhm.
I saw a golden statue of Donald Trump in one of his filth-spewing, hate-twisted faces. And I looked back at her and said, nah, I'm good. I'm fine. She said, no. If you are going to be a being of love and you are going to be the person who says that you are love, you have to love everything, including that. And I'm like, you got to give me a minute with that one.
That's funny.
And just that little bit of moving from the rigidity of absolutely not to give me a minute. In that space, I started flying toward that statue, flew right into the face of it, and started going back his timeline. And I saw, him as the president and all the things he did there. I saw him as the businessman, as the reality TV star, all the womanizing, all that stuff going down the timeline. And then I got to his two stoic parents, and behind the two stoic parents were the hurt child just looking for love.
Wow.
And I'm like, I can show love to that. And she's like, okay, you get it. You're fine now.
Mhm.
It's like, I don't have to accept all the rest of it. He's another human being. While I disagree with so much of who he is and how he lives his life and the things he did, particularly while in office, I can at least appreciate that he is living the life that he was here to live, and that he came to that way of being through all the things that were piled on him as his experiences in life. I don't have to agree with it. He's just doing what he's here and what he signed up to do,
Mhm.
and let it be at that.
Yeah. That's awesome, Daniel.
Yeah. Actually, it feels really good to say that. I haven't shared that with many people. There's a
Oh.
handful of individuals I've shared that with privately. I've never said that on air anywhere.
That's what's awesome about our friendship and the friendship that I had with Chip. Just because we come from different mindsets, different ideals,
Mhm.
we get along so well. And
Mhm.
and it's a shame that the rest of the country doesn't take note of that
Mhm.
and accept each other for our differences.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what the beauty of this country has always been. That we're a melting ideally, I have to back myself up there. Ideally, we are a melting pot of experiences where we all blend together. Yet there's been, from every aspect, the sense that something else is more important about my experience or someone else's experience, and we start to hold on to and focus on our divisions, which unfortunately what social media, where it could be the great social media could be the thing that brings us all together, and instead what it tends to do is create more division by, I disagree with you, and now that I can say that I disagree with you with the anonymity in the space of the internet where you can't punch me in the face, I'm going to blow up your feed even more.
Mhm.
And then, you get into the AI and the algorithms that continue to promote onto my feed the things that are more likely going to piss me off than the things that are going to make me feel good. That's all engineered. We live in a space where we don't even know how we are being pitted against each other by the machinations of big business, because that's where they make their money.
Do you think social media plays a big role in that too?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yep. Where it could be, like I said, it could be the thing that brings us together. It becomes the great divider. And that's sad to me. There is such power in having a world that is connected with instantaneous communication, and we're wasting it to argue with each other over a celebrity.
Yeah.
Seriously. Seriously, people.
Stupid. It's stupid to be arguing about that. What were you going to ask him, Mom? What do you feel psychically or even in your own mind is going to happen with Ukraine?
I think that Vladimir Putin will never see the end of it. I
Oh,
don't think. Yeah, I think Ukraine will push them out, and he will not be there to see it.
wow. You think somebody will assassinate him?
I don't think his health is good.
Okay.
I think his health is on the decline.
Mentally and physically.
hmm Yeah, Ukraine. I highly respect that president.
Yeah,
That's a president.
it is for
And
sure.
I'm not saying anything about our current one or our previous one. I'm saying that's a president.
Yeah.
That's a Truman level of presidency right there, or an Eisenhower level of president. Let's be inclusive and hit both parties. It's an Eisenhower or a Truman or a Kennedy level of presidency, not a celebrity level of presidency.
I agree. He's standing by his people and his country, regardless of what happens.
hmm
He's going to be there and protect them.
hmm And he picks up a rifle and goes to do what he needs to do. He's
Yep,
not
he
afraid
fights
of it.
along with his people and of his country.
Yeah, there's a word for that. It's called leadership.
Yep. We haven't had a leader like that in a long time.
We have not. We have not. And that's sad to say. I've seen others who I consider leaders that, while I don't know that they would have gone to pick up a rifle, certainly set a very high standard of leadership.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen one that would go to that level of, I'm going to get my hands dirty too, because this is where we're at.
Yeah. Yep, that's pretty awesome. I wonder why the rest of the world doesn't get involved and help him out.
I don't know. I've wondered the same thing. And I wonder if it's part of its fear of Putin, no pun intended, going nuclear. Or there just may be things going on behind the scenes that we are absolutely not aware of that are either preventing us, other countries, getting involved, or they're involved and you just don't know it.
Could be.
And I bet there's a whole lot of that going on.
Yeah. Behind the scenes that he don't know about.
Because again, my sarcastic worldview says that where there is money to be made, people will be involved.
Mm.
And that's all I'm going to say about it.
Mom wanted to know what's your feelings on King Charles now.
I'm very happy that a 73-year-old man got his first job. That's awesome.
Yeah. Real job, huh?
Yeah. In the family business, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think, I have nothing against him. I think certainly at 73, there is years of wisdom there that he's been in the background and waiting for this moment. Certainly not waiting for his mother to die in that way, but waiting for his chance to sit in that role. And I am very curious to see what all of that anticipation and wait will result in for the next however many number of years. I've high hopes.
Yeah. Do you think his other son will come back? Or do you think they'll be in Canada or wherever they're staying?
I thought they were here.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're here, yeah. I think they were between here and Canada, but anyway, do you think they'll take their seat back in the throne, or do you think they'll stay away from that?
Did you now, as much as I love a good conspiracy theory and I hate a good conspiracy theory, did you hear the one about when they moved here?
Yeah.
About the child being born here and what that would mean? Like,
Mhm.
that's a fascinating long game, and I would love to know the person who came up with that idea, who it is, because that kind of intellect I'd want to see on the space program of being able to connect those dots. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
'Cause I know there was a belief that he left the royal family because of what happened to his mother, and he didn't want that to happen. Same thing that happened to his wife and his children.
hmm The answer that comes to my head, it wouldn't matter where they were, if that was the case.
Right. That makes sense.
The empire never dies, and the empire has long arms.
Yeah. Yep.
Because
Especially-
let's face it, Lady Di was not even in England when that happened.
That's true. Yeah. I think that was inside job anyways. And I think the queen had something to do with it.
Yeah, that theory's been around for a long time, and Diana was way too popular.
Yeah, and she was well off.
I shouldn't say she was way too popular. That makes me sound judgmental. She was very popular, and there may have been some sense of competition going on.
Jealousy, yeah.
hmm Yeah.
Maybe now that the queen's gone, maybe the truth will come out.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
There was there's a special on HBO Max right now on her life that is really well done and kind of makes you wonder what exactly did happen that night.
Mm-hmm. You'll have to check it out, Mom. Sure. Well, Daniel, we got about 20 minutes.
Okay.
If anybody wants to call in, the number is 724-602-2826. That's 724-602-2826. Anybody has any questions for you or any concerns, Daniel?
This has been very fun connecting with you again.
It is.
It's been way too long.
Yeah, it's been way too long, as you're correct. Yeah. I don't know what made me think of you, but I'm glad I did.
I am too.
I'm glad we connected again.
I think it was one of your spirits around you.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I have a number of them, around me.
The number 8 keeps popping in my head.
8 loved ones?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I was tuning into it earlier, and 8 was there, and I didn't say anything, and it just came in again when we brought it back around.
Mm.
And they're saying everything's going to be okay.
That's cool. Yeah, I was been worried about my bowel because it's been kind of like active in the last couple of days. Yeah. And I've been going to the bathroom on the opposite end where it usually comes out of my bag. But I was told that happens.
Just clearing out all the old stuff.
Yep.
The stuff that doesn't serve you anymore.
Yeah. Yep. And I called a doctor today, and he said, "Well, you're still connected down there." He said that will happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping and I'm praying that my stoma gets reversed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that or feel that at any time?
And I missed part of that. The what gets reversed?
My stoma,
Stoma.
my bowel, my stoma. Yeah, I don't need the ostomy bag no more.
So this is going to sound weird, me asking this question, because it sounds like I'm engineering an answer, and I'm not. Is that something that medically does happen?
Yes, it can.
Okay.
They said that my nurse 6 said that my heart is too weak for him to put his name on that or to do that procedure.
Mm-hmm. The feeling I'm getting would then tie into that it is possible to. Your health and your taking care of your health will be very important to that happening. Because you are going to have to take an active role in regaining your health for that to reverse. It won't happen without your active participation.
Emotionally and physically, right?
Yep. Yeah, the emotionally more than anything else. The physical is going to be important. The physical will be important. The emotional more than anything else. Because that emotion that we don't release or that we hold on to manifests somewhere in the body. And when you were asking me earlier about, is that the situation from a past life? What I almost said in that moment was what I tend to find out with clients when I'm working with them in similar spaces of things, is that it's more has to do with suppressed emotion or things that we were holding on to for whatever reason and not releasing let it go.
Okay.
When I was in my hypnotherapy training, when we were in the phase of clinical work, it's the first time that we really moved into talking about chakras and the energetic systems of the body, and how emotion is energy and it shows up if we hold on to it or suppress it. And I will never forget the guy who runs the school saying, the person who comes in who has an ulcer isn't angry because they have an ulcer. They have an ulcer because they're angry.
So if you don't take care of your mental well-being, it could lead into something more physical.
Yep. Think about on even the most basic level. If the listeners, if this sounds strange, like that, oh wow, someone being angry actually leads to an ulcer. What are you talking about? That sounds like nonsense. When you're stressed and you're feeling stress, where do you feel it? Probably in your shoulders, maybe in your gut.
Yeah.
That's that energy of the emotion showing up in the body. Hold on to it long enough, it's going to continue to break you down. It's got to go somewhere, and it's all energy.
Yeah. And I think that's what was wrong with my dad. He was weak mentally, and it went to his physical, and then he ended up everything started failing then.
I remember an experience I had a number of years ago where I was really tight and angry. This is a long time ago. And that feeling of when you get it off your chest, or you need to have a conversation with somebody that you're anxious about or resentful toward or whatever, and we hold on to that. And then once we speak it out, we literally get it off our chest, you tend to feel a lot lighter, because you're no longer holding both the energy of what is in the conversation that you've been suppressing, but then you're also not taking all that extra energy to hold it in and worry about it. It's like energy on top of energy on top of energy until you just freaking say it already and get it over with. Be in the moment and be done with it.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you're angry about then?
Not really. I'm kind of hurt that all this stuff happened to me in the first place, I guess.
You don't understand why.
I don't understand why. I'm kind of holding on to some anger because everything started happening, and I'm still dealing with things.
What would you need to know to release that anger?
I guess that things will get better.
Okay.
Want to know why it happened to you?
So here's the
I want to
spin
know
on it.
why it happened to me in the first place.
Okay. So I'm going to ask into both of those. On one level, let's take the why question and shelve it for a moment, because we may never know why.
Right.
So let's just pause on that one. But on the other one, I heard there that releasing the anger, it would be that knowing that everything would be okay. As a future event, things will be okay. And what I heard there is then I can release the anger. What if releasing the anger now makes everything okay downstream? What if it's a cart and horse here?
Makes sense.
What do you need to release the anger?
Where?
What do you need to release it?
I just to get better, and not have to worry about having all this things happening to me repeated.
You have a lot of.
I hear you.
I have a good bit of fear.
What's the fear about?
Well, the procedures, my defibrillator getting put in. I have a little bit of anxiety and fear for that. But really, I shouldn't, because I went through heart surgery, and then I went through the 2 aneurysms, and I've already overcome worse things than that. And why I'm still fearful, I don't know.
And you're angry
And I'm angry that it happened to me to begin with.
hmm
Like a why me type of thing.
I hear that. I understand.
Mm.
I understand that. Why you?
Don't know. I know mom, she survived breast cancer, and her purpose in this life is to take care of me.
Mhm.
I know that.
Mhm.
And I wanted to take care of her, and that's what I'm angry about.
I've seen you in your posts on social media taking care of her not too long ago, of painting the porch and doing the things when you were able.
hmm
Maybe in a weird way, this is kind of a flow and balance. You took care of her, and this is now her opportunity to take care of you in a way.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess in a way I am taking care of her. And I have,
Because you're helping her live her purpose to take care of you too.
Mama, you want to come say hi to Daniel?
Hello, Daniel.
Hello, how are you?
Look, we can
Good.
see you.
I heard a lot.
I love that shirt.
Heard a lot of good things about you.
I got to make sure I pay him well for those.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Very nice to meet you.
you too. You'll have to be on a couple more times with Tim, huh?
hmm
Once a month or something would be good. Had Tim.
That could be fun.
yeah.
That could be fun.
Maybe you can even co-host with me sometime.
Good.
Oh, that sounds dangerous. I might get you kicked off the air.
That would be good, huh?
Yeah.
To have me be co-host or have him be kicked off the air? Which one would be good?
Co-host, I get kicked off the air.
You do a lot of podcasts.
A fair amount. About every other month or so.
Oh, uh-huh.
I'm out somewhere.
You like how?
I've always loved Tim's show.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
I don't know what I'd do without the show, Daniel.
hmm
It's kind of part of my
Busy,
purpose.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
hmm You got many more of them coming.
Yeah.
I'm glad he started up again. Yeah, I'm glad you were able to start.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah, when he had a stroke, he couldn't even talk for what?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he couldn't even. He mumbled, and you couldn't understand him.
My last day at Butler Hospital after my blowout with my bowel, I was waiting to be transferred to Allegheny General. And I was there for 6 days, and my last night there, I had a stroke.
Oh, wow.
And they took him down to HGH, and they were running all kind of tests on him. He couldn't even talk.
I couldn't even talk. I was trying to talk, and to me myself, I was talking, but all would come out was mumbling.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And when
Wow.
did it all come back then? After your surgery?
It come back after my colon, after my stoma was put in, was put in.
Surgery, yeah.
Yeah, after surgery with my stoma, when I had my stoma
And he
put in.
yelled what?
And I yelled, "Thank you, Jesus! Or Thank you, God!" or something, and everybody heard me.
And that was his first words
That was
after
the
his
first
stroke?
words out of my when I come out of recovery.
They didn't even know you had a
Awesome.
stroke, did they?
No, they didn't even know I had a stroke.
Oh, wow. Wow.
The ones in the operating room.
Yeah.
The recovery room didn't know.
And my first words was, "I gotta poop." And then the guy that was filling the supplies in the room at the time, he said, "I gotta go." He says, "You need a bedpan." I said, "Yeah." And then the nurse came back and said, "Did he go?" He said, "Yeah, I filled the pan up twice."
Well, I've always known you were full of something.
Yeah, I'm full of shit, huh?
That's what.
Yep.
I'm glad you're here, sir.
Me too.
Glad you're doing your thing.
Yep. Yeah, me too.
I'm glad you got back on with Michael.
Yeah, I'm back off Michael Vera now, my original buddy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, this is his network.
Yeah, he has some good shows too, huh, Tim?
Michael does, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know Michael?
I do not.
Michael Vera, yeah.
He's been on radio. How many?
Michael's
years
been
before
on
you?
14 years.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah.
I think I've seen his name in some of your posts.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never met him.
Hmm. Maybe you could be on Last Frequency with him. On his show.
Well, I'm on your show. I'm like your guest.
Yeah, I know. Well, Michael would like
The
you, though.
three of you, huh?
Yeah, Michael would like you.
I feel like I'd be dating. It's like we're married and I'd be dating somebody else and that just wouldn't go well.
Yeah, might. Just like I tell my physical therapist, I said, "You're my brother from another mother,"
Mhm.
and that's why I feel about you, Daniel.
Oh, thank you, sir. I feel the same.
Yeah.
I feel the connection.
Hmm. I still can't get over those rosaries, though. How they made it to you, I still can't get over that. I tell everybody that.
They were meant to be there. It just the United States Postal Service got in the way.
What did your wife think when you got them?
She was shocked because I hadn't told her about them. And the day they were supposed to show up originally was the day we were leaving for an international trip. I'm like, there's something coming. We have to wait. She's like, we got to go. I'm like, "Rrr."
Mhm.
And we left. And I eventually told her on the trip what it was. She's like, I get it. Okay, fine. Yeah, whatever. And then when they showed up, she's like, these are beautiful. I really thank you for getting them for her.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, she didn't know you were getting it.
No, I just told her she had a present coming, but I didn't tell her what it was.
Wow. Daniel, we got about 7 minutes left. Is there anything else you'd like to get out of the way? Maybe we could have you back on the show at some point. I really enjoyed this.
Does he have?
Yeah, let's do that sometime soon in the next month or so. October's crazy busy, but November might be workable. And let's see what's going on. I've got another trip to Peru coming up next year for anybody who wants to join me down there in August. So that's all on my website at transcendentliving.com. And it's always a magical trip to be down there.
That sounds nice. I Tim.
Yeah. Is there any events or anything yet? Or any readings you're going to be doing for people? Or yeah,
I have an 8-week program that I rolled out 3 months ago, and I'm actually in pause between it. It's about just really unlocking your ideal life, your masterpiece life. I'll be starting it up again after the first of the year so that holidays don't get in the way of the regular meetings, and all of that information's on my website as well. It's like what the idea behind it is what life do you really want to live? And if you weren't going to make any changes, what would be on your tombstone right now? And then what are the things you want said about you at your funeral? And the rest of the time is then spent living into and creating that life of intentionality that this is who I want to be remembered as.
Mhm.
That's neat. A lot to think
So
about.
what's that?
There's a lot to think about.
It is. The first group, we had some really deep discussions on those first 2 weeks. Like, oh, wait a minute. If I keep running on default, this is what might be said. And then the second week was, so what do you want said instead?
Yeah.
And the movement into that of like making changes in life now rather than on that mysterious day, because we're all going to face it. How do we want to be remembered? What do we want our legacy to be? And we live it now. We live creating that legacy every day. And I'm working on my 4th book that I hope to have published by the end of first quarter.
Oh, what are the titles of your books, Daniel?
The ones that exist so far are Practical Manifesting. The second one is A Pessimist's Guide to Manifesting. And the third one is a journal called My 2-Minute Journal. And the new one is going to be called One Breath Decision Making.
Wow.
Because I have problems making decisions, so that sounds like a good book for me.
Yep, do it in one breath. Don't overthink it. And the book will be about how to really tune in to your intuition and make that the best decision you can make. There are no right or wrong decisions. There's only decisions. And we tend to evaluate the decision point based on what happens after that. We might not always know what it's about. And then we'll beat ourselves up. I made a bad decision. No, you didn't. You made a decision.
Oh, Mom.
You did the best you could.
Yeah. Mom got called for jury duty last year or the year before. And I filled out a form for her. And she said one of the things that she has trouble with is making decisions.
Mhm.
Jury duty. She changed her mind periodically too. She
That
changed
wasn't
it.
mine either.
Just take a quarter. It's one result or another.
And they never contact her.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Oh, very good, sir.
I have to get that book.
Yeah.
What does manifesting mean?
Manifesting means bringing something into reality. So it could be as like the spooky woo-woo idea of creating and manifesting and all the spiritual work. It could be as simple as we have an idea and we make it real. In a way, building a house from an idea that turns into blueprints, that turns into a construction is manifesting. Or just having an idea about the type of life we want to live or the things that we want to create in it, whether it's relationships or material items. Getting the idea, putting the energy into it, and then making it real and present.
Oh, okay.
Any more trips you're gonna be doing to Peru? You're gonna be going any more trips?
I'll be doing the trip in August next year, and that is the only one next year.
Okay.
And then I'll be going back in 24, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, it's been great. It's as I said, this is always the fastest 2 hours on radio, and then especially when I'm talking to you or somebody else, it's really great.
Yep, it always
And
is a good time. Thank you, Tim. Thanks for the invitation.
You're
Nice to
welcome.
meet you.
Do you ever come out east to any countries?
Occasionally, I was there. My wife and I were there in June for my father's memorial, and I will be back in Delaware and northeastern Pennsylvania in end of October, beginning of November, briefly, to help with some wrap up around that.
Too bad we couldn't meet you in person. That would be great. If Tim
I
was
know I'm going to be on the wrong end of the state.
yeah,
I know.
Tim was able to get around better. But
I'm sure I'll be back. I'm a fellow Pennsylvanian by birth, so
Oh yeah.
oh, okay.
yep, grew up near Philly.
Wow.
That's cool.
And
Maybe-
besides, I have to talk to Tim about the Pittsburgh Steelers hat. That's I
Yeah.
have to bring him a Chiefs hat.
Yeah. I have a couple of Chiefs hats too. I don't know why Pittsburgh chose their starting quarterback though, and not the other guy. But I mean, Mason Rudolph's not that good either. So
Mhm. Yeah, it'll be an interesting season for them
I
because
do like Pickett. I don't know why they didn't make Pickett the starting quarterback.
they went with what, Trubisky?
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, he appeared serviceable in that game. I'll give him
Yeah.
credit for that. He looked better than he ever looked in Chicago.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Oh,
We'll see.
we'll do good.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So
Will they still let Pickett? They'll still let Pickett play, right?
yeah, hopefully. Mhm.
Some games.
At some point, yeah. I still like Mahomes though. I'm still a Mahomes fan.
Yep, he's magic.
He
And
is.
really, I appreciate everything about him.
All right, Daniel. It's been
Sir.
good seeing you, talking to you again.
Wonderful talking to you too. I'll send energy and best wishes for you on Tuesday.
Hmm.
And I look forward to talking to you very shortly after that.
Okay. Thank you, Daniel.
Take care, Tim. See ya.
See you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Bye.
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 Time for me to fly. I've got to set my feet. Time for me to fly. Baby, that's just how it's got to be. Though it hurts to say goodbye, but it's time for me to fly. Fly. It's time for me to fly. Oh, I've got to set myself free. Time for me to fly. Baby, that's just how it's got to be. Whoa, I know it hurts to say goodbye, but it's time for me to fly. Time for me to fly. High, high, high. Time for me to fly. Time for me to fly.